me.
But all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. This is one that was kind of like a surprise. Ray popped this over to me, like maybe like an hour before we were about to begin this, and then I saw it on Twitter, real quick, as well. But yeah, man, heavy rumors that Sony is going to finally combine PS Plus and PS Now together as that Game Pass competition. And this is funny because we talked about this like several podcasts ago that that's what they should do, and that's more than likely what will happen. It's just a matter of when it'll happen because like I don't know anybody who's actually I do. I think Mark's ass got PS Now or something like that on like a $1 trial or something, but I don't know too many people that are just like, oh, I play PS Now. And we've seen that they're slowly starting to try to add some of the newer games, new-ish, like maybe, um, you know, 5, 6, maybe 8 months behind or something like that, but it's fairly new to PS Now. And so that was like an improvement. But this is way different than what I was expecting would come off top. I mean, so they're talking about having 3 tiers. So you got the basic bitch tier, which is what we have right now, and then you got the second tier, which adds some extra, like it adds the PS Now, and then it gives you access to PS4 games, which is surprising because we get quite a few or whatever right now on the PS Plus every month, but they're adding more, and then eventually it'll get to PS5 games, which is crazy. I don't know if it'll be like how we had discussed it before, Ray. Being like maybe 3 or 4 months behind release, but we'll eventually get it for free on that. And then the last one, which I thought was really interesting, was the fact that you're getting the last tier. You get PS1, 2, 3, PSP, like probably Vita, like all of those games. So this would essentially be a fully backwards compatible game system at that point. Like you wouldn't have to pay for any of those old ass games if you wanted to play them shits.
Yeah. I guess the question I'd ask you here. So first of all, I'll say this isn't quite compelling enough to me. I think it's the right move, but I don't think it's quite compelling enough in comparison to. I'm
Game
I'm,
Pass.
I'm comparing everything to Game Pass because that's kind of like the direct competitor here,
Yeah,
and
that's what.
it's not quite compelling enough to me because of that one caveat right there that you mentioned, and PS5 games down the line, right? Like how far down the line are we talking here? Like I'm not hip if it's going to be like PC down the line. Like when
Mhm.
they finally launched the games on PC, like the
Yeah,
PS5 games
like a
finally came out
whole
on
a
PC.
whole like
It's like two
three
years
two
later.
two or 3 years
Yeah,
later.
2 or 3 years later, it's finally getting
Yeah,
launched on PC. Like if that's what they're talking about, like eventually you'll get to play, Returnal, like 2 years from when it's released.
yeah.
It's like, dude, that ain't compelling enough, man. When I'm gonna play literally Halo, the brand new Halo next week
Damn
on
one.
launch,
Yeah.
like day one. I'm gonna play Starfield day one. We're gonna play Fable day one. Like that's not compelling enough, man. But if I guess the thing I would
Well, we
ask you,
don't know though, but yeah.
we don't know, but they kind of let you know a little bit here when it says down the line, right? And so like we know we're not getting PS5 games on day one here. But I guess I'll ask you, we don't know pricing yet, but which tier is most compelling to you?
Um, I think I would probably stick to that middle tier. I think what was the last tier? What does that one give you? The second tier, the third tier thrown in is extended demos and game streaming. So I'm guessing that the game streaming is the same as like, or it's counteractive for the cloud gaming that Xbox has for the Xbox Cloud, right? So
Right. That's what I'm
now
assuming.
you're telling me that I should be able to click on the game and immediately play it. But I'm just playing it through the cloud. So that's really gonna work for games that have like just straight stories or like indie games. It won't work for any multiplayer games. I just wouldn't try it.
Well, and also on
Um,
the tier three, you get full backwards compatibility, right?
yeah, full backwards compatibility. So I mean, it's like okay, if you're telling me that now I can take my Vita and then possibly be able to play some of the old Vita games. I know this says PSP, but you'd have to put Vita
Mm-hmm.
on there, right?
Yeah,
You'd
it
have
probably
to.
includes Vita.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you're telling me that now I have like the entire library, if I have the entire library, like all PS1 games, all PS2, all PS3, you know what I mean?
All
That
PS4.
are out there, yeah. PS4. You know what I'm saying? PSP and Vita, like that might be something that I would look into because
Yeah, I
it's been
feel
a
like
while since I've plugged in my Vita, dude. Like this bitch is bone dry, man. It hasn't been charged in like a cool ass minute.
right.
So
Yeah, I think like
to be able to use it would be nice, you know?
this feels more like the Nintendo route, right? How
Yeah,
Nintendo's kind of giving you their old console generations with their subscription service. So like if you
yeah,
subscribe to them, you get like the SNES games and the NES games and the
right,
all those old games. This is
yeah,
what that kind of feels like. Like, what I'll say to Arachnid is he said that PS5 games will be down the line because they want people to buy games first. As many
exactly,
people as possible. People can't get a PS5 though. Yeah, I know that's the strategy. Like,
yeah,
obviously. Like, we know that's the strategy right now with PC games. That's why I said I don't want it to be like PC because PC games don't come out for 2 years because they want to make sure they dry the PS market dry where
hmm
they will lose no customers before they put it on PC. Like I don't like that model. I don't like that model. Right? Like I
Now,
think Sony is clinging to that model. They are clinging to wanting to make that $60 when I don't think that's the way of the future. They have to go all in on subscription. Game Pass makes money on subscription services, not the $60 price tag.
right, and I do wonder though, it because it says down the line, I just wonder like exactly what they mean, when it's like later. Yo, what's good, Anthony G? Hey, Mark couldn't make it, man. He got baby duties, bruh. So it's just us here thugging it out. But yeah. So it's like, what if it's just like, okay, it takes a minute to implement all of these games onto this service or whatever, that with cloud streaming capabilities and all that other stuff. So what if they're slowly adding, all of their PS4 titles and stuff like that, going down the line, right? They start with the oldest and then work their way up, kind of how like
Right.
how Nintendo is doing, where they're like, oh yeah, you've got Sega and you've got Super Nintendo, but it's like a small bit, and then we're gonna add more later on or whatever, for whatever reason. Maybe they have to do some recoding or something like that. But what if it gets to the point where once they've stockpiled and filled up all of the PS4 slots, then they work on the PS5 slots,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
really
you
something
start
like that.
getting to that point where you are able to get it day one. I mean, what if that's a possibility? I mean, that would still be
Maybe.
nice. I, it
Maybe.
it's it seems far fetched because of the fuck shit that PlayStation's been doing lately with all of their tactics to get more money and different things like
Right.
that. Where we find them being a little bit more greedier than we would like. But I mean, just the fact that it's there, they didn't straight out say, hey, we're gonna release PS5 games 2 months after or a month after or whatever. So
Right. Right.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I just
it's one of
don't
those things
know.
that I don't know if I'm just counting it out fully yet. I want to
Yeah.
give them the benefit of the doubt. At least try.
It just feels like they still aren't committing to it. Like, yes, this is like a baby step.
Smooth.
This is like a baby step in the right direction. What's going
Yeah.
on, yo? Smooth. What's going on, champion Anthony G? What's up, fellas? Yeah, like this feels like it's just a baby step in the right direction, and it's not like the direction. It's not the step I want them to take. But let me ask you, like, I guess I'll ask you this: if they launch their own, let's say they just did it and they went all in on the future of gaming, streaming as a subscription service,
Yeah.
would you own both services? Would you spend $15 for both services, or would
Oh,
you just
for 15 for Game Pass and
yeah, like
15
let's say
for PS
yeah,
Pass.
right.
Um,
Or would you kind of just transition to PlayStation now and kind of just like have a subscription service to PlayStation, or would you own both?
no, I would own both. Just because of like if I knew. like if I knew the game plan rolling out that like a month or two later the PlayStation games, the PS5 games would be available, then there's enough games to go around. I've got a backlog. Like I can wait to eventually get that first one, and then by the time I'm finished with the first PS5 game, the second one would be out, and then I'd be able to play that one. You know what I mean? So I feel like once you catch the first one, with the delayed service, I think it would all be downhill after that. Like it'd just be smooth pickings.
Yeah,
So I would have both of them.
the reason why I ask is I'm just curious, I guess, um, because I'm just curious if Sony is missing out on potential customers because I don't know how many people are willing to do multiple subscriptions to a Game Pass kind of service. So like the longer Sony waits to jump into that ring, like
Mm-hmm.
are they missing out on potential customers? Because I do think like I'd be like you, but I don't want to think that being I would buy all this. I buy Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. I don't want to think like that is the way the natural consumer thinks in the world, or if
Yeah.
me and you are more the exception rather than the rule. If we're the rule, then I guess it doesn't matter when Sony decides to jump into the ring. But if we're the
Yeah.
exception, then I think it would matter more when you decide to actually go full in on a subscription service that actually matters.
Yeah. I just think that it's kind of like one of those things. Like I mean, we have thousands. We have hundreds of thousands of these different TV subscription things. You know what I mean? You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got HBO Max, you got Stars, whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's so many of them, and we end up paying for like a large majority of them. Then now there's the good few that will just only like stick to like Netflix and maybe Disney Plus, right? Because that gives you like a good library of movies to watch and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people that have like damn near all of them, where you're stacking up so many subscriptions separately that they're costing almost as much as your basic cable would, and
See, I know
so
a lot of people that I just think there's a lot of people out there who don't though at the same time. I think there are a lot like you're saying that do. Like so for
mhm,
instance, my wife's mother, she only has like one. She like just does Amazon Prime, right?
yeah.
And she goes on and off on Netflix. She turns it on and she turns it off.
Oh really?
And then I have like
Mm.
I have shoot. There's something else I was going to mention. Oh, I think
that is that
my
is one
dad
of the
turns it
Netflix
on and
movies.
off too. My dad doesn't stick with it. He kind of turns it on and off.
I've never shut it. I don't even see like why do you shut it on and off? Like you wait until there's a good show and then you shut it back on and then you watch that show and then
No,
you shut it off.
it's kind of like my dad will be like, I haven't watched it in a while, so
Mm-hmm.
he just shuts it off because he doesn't think he's going to use it. And
Oh,
then he
okay.
might later come back to it, like months later.
Oh,
He'll come
okay.
back to see what's new. It's not like
Yeah.
he's tracking the shows. It's more so just like he hasn't seen himself click it on. Like he's watching a lot of Funimation or he's watching a lot of Netflix, but he's not watching a lot of Hulu, so he shuts it off. Right? He doesn't
Okay.
just stick with it indefinitely.
Yeah.
So I just think like where I kind of just stick with my subscriptions indefinitely. Like
Yeah.
I've had Crunchyroll, I've had these things for years. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
shut them off.
Crunchyroll,
But a lot of
Funimation. You know
people,
what I'm
I
saying?
think, like turn them off and shut them off. And I just think that
I
it's
think I think it's gonna be a real kicker to see if it's like if they do like some family type shit like Nintendo does, or if it's all based solely upon your PSN name, because like the reason why like for me, right, because I care Anthony G about how much I'm spending on video games. That's why I'm always looking for the better budget wise or whatever. But like I share a family account with my Netflix, man. Like I share Netflix with like 6 or 7 people. You know what
see
I mean?
that's a good point,
So
dude.
it's
I
like
think
so it,
a lot of people they have multiple subscriptions because they're sharing. Like it's
yeah.
not really like that on Game Pass.
Nah, it's a lot tougher on Game Pass. I
It's,
mean,
imagine if
I'd have to sign into Yo Game Pass to play the games, and
right.
I don't necessarily mind that, except I believe that I have to be under your gamer tag. So then
Yeah,
it's
so
not
you
under my
actually
gamer
aren't
tag.
adding anything to your gamer tag.
Right.
Right? So you aren't saving anything to your game. So like that's the thing.
So
Like that's one difference. I think a big major difference as to why people have multiple subscriptions.
mhm.
Where in this world, like I can't see Sony doing $10 for like all their games.
No.
Sony sounds like a $20 minimum to me. And like imagine like you have to pay 20 and you're paying your 15 for Game Pass. Now it's like, darn it. I wish I could share one of these with somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Where you can't really do that. And so I think Sony, I don't want them to miss the boat, is all I'm saying. I don't want them to miss the boat and people, Game Pass just dominates this and Sony misses the boat because they're so worried about passing up on that old way of doing things, the $60 game system, when the subscription service seems to be the way of the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, I figure like they would I feel like they would have like a difficulty, just going all in on some Game Pass type shit. You know what I mean, with day ones and stuff like that. So I mean, but if they gave like a solid ass price, like maybe $20-$25 a month, I don't see it going 25. I can see them doing 20 though, but I think with $20 a month, I think they probably would be more willing to drop games day one or whatnot. And yeah, bro, Anthony, I'm not sharing my Netflix with you, my guy.
Yeah, man, I think
Maybe Crunchyroll or something.
Yeah, I think like I think they'd be surprised how much money they made. Like I just think they're underestimating just how much money they can make. Like if they would announce that you can get God of
all
War,
the PS4 games,
Horizon, all these things like day one or within a couple months,
yeah,
I think they'd be shocked how many people would buy that subscription service. And I think they'd just be really surprised about. I think there's so much more money in subscription services. I just think there's tons more money because it's continual revenue. You're not hoping to make a sell. You're not hoping to sell a game like, oh, we got to make sure we get this many sells. Like you just have continual revenue. Like I just think they're underestimating that market.
Yeah.
Like that's what everyone's doing is subscription services, and Sony still isn't. It's crazy.
So I think that Sony is trying to approach this in a different way, right? I feel like, like kind of like what Arachnid Soul was saying earlier. I'm trying to see if I can find it, what he had mentioned. But he was basically saying that before, like as far as like the console war, here it goes. As far as like the console war was going, right? We deemed that PlayStation won that, like hands down. Like Xbox is no longer trying to sell consoles; they're trying to sell subscription services. And so you think that that's it. It's what's said and done. But when you have people gravitating towards those services, and now it's kind of like your consoles, you ain't putting your consoles out there like that. So these services are out there putting in work, making Microsoft tons of bread. So now it's like, oh shit, I guess I gotta change my plan, you know what I mean, and flip flip to a different move. So now it's like you're playing catch up with Xbox. And I think because of that fact, they haven't just come out with it off top, right? They've been trying to figure out other ways of how they can get this in there and and make it better, or at least different. I think that if they get to the point where they're releasing day one exclusives on there, they will surpass Xbox in one solid way. And that's the live with gold bullshit that they have.
No,
they give you like 360 games and stuff.
I think they would surpass Xbox with subscriptions, so people subscribing.
Yeah,
I think they would 20 million, dude. I think they would get 40 million easy if they gave you they gave you the day one. If they gave you their games day one, I think Sony is woefully underestimating how many people would subscribe to their service, even for $20 a month, if they gave you their games day one, like Microsoft is doing. I just feel like Microsoft is like in the corner and they have a little secret and it's right there for Sony to see, and they will not. And they're giving Microsoft time. I just feel like they're giving Microsoft time that they don't really deserve. Because
they're getting their momentum, because that if you think about it, right, this whole year hasn't really had shit exclusive on the Xbox except for like maybe like 5 games, like total. Gotta be 5. That were like big ass like exclusive games for the Xbox. Next year though, You got like Starfield. You got like a couple of other things that they're, I'm sure, planning on releasing at some point in time. Like they have more time now. You got a whole new year started out now. And so you have like all of this time where it's kind of like, Disney Plus and that first year that it was out, and they ain't have shit. They ain't have like none of the Marvel stuff like that, you know what I mean? And then the second year though, they got all the shows rolling out, you know what I mean? And in the third year, they got even more shows rolling out, and all of the other movies and stuff like that are now finally all on there. So it's like Disney Plus is a solid buy now if you really enjoy like all of the Disney stuff, the Marvel things and stuff like that.
It's just
The
like the more
Star Wars,
time,
Mandalorian and stuff.
the more time they give, yeah, exactly. The more
They're
time they
gonna
give
get more pumped.
Microsoft,
They're gonna get going.
yeah, and the more people hear about it, word of mouth, and the more people commit to it. I think like if Sony came out and really pumped it and marketed it,
Yeah,
people would be like, "I'm good. I don't need the Xbox. I have PS Game Pass," and they'll just stick with PlayStation Game Pass. I think a lot of people would, and they'd be like, "I'm good. I don't need Game Pass." But they're giving Game Pass all this time to build a subscription base and please their customers, So it's like it's just crazy, man. It's just
yeah,
absolutely crazy.
yeah. And
I wish
Crunchyroll got
Sony
bought
would
out
jump
by
on.
Sony. Crunchyroll got bought out by Sony, but they still staying. They gonna be
Yeah, they're
around.
on. They're good.
And the 5 months for the EA Pass, I got the ultimate one, so I hope that I think that's
Yeah, you do.
in there.
Yeah,
So,
that includes the EA
but
Pass.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, man, did they nickel and dime you for everything? So that's 20 right there, then, right?
No, it's
For the Game
15.
Pass. Oh,
15 is
that's
the
15.
highest. Yeah,
Okay,
15 covers all of it.
okay, all right, yeah. So yeah, that's understandable. But I mean, yeah, this is definitely gonna be something to behold. You know what I mean? But like all of the games that PlayStation gives away now for PS Plus subscribers are like primo games. So when you compare them to the shit that Xbox is giving away on their Live with Gold, like I forget that they even have that stuff. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like it's part of the Game Pass. Like they
Yeah,
don't
gold
have
is
it.
trash. Gold is trash. But what I'm saying here is
But this
like
is
when I
saying that it's still going to give you the PS Plus
yeah,
games as
exactly. So
well
what I'm
as
saying
all of the other shit in
right,
there.
so when I asked you what tier that you would access, when I look at this, I
Mm-hmm.
access tier 1. I just keep PS Plus. I don't see tier 2 or tier 3 being compelling enough at all. Like, so this doesn't really change the game, is what I'm trying to say. Or at least not
Right.
for someone like me. If it
Not
was
right
like
now.
if I was getting PS5 games, then I'm thinking about tier 2 and it up,
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
definitely.
this,
That's why I said tier 2 looks like it would be the one
yeah.
because it's
But
like,
right now it's
you're
one,
getting
right?
everything at that point. But
Like right
yeah,
now it's tier 1, and they ain't getting an extra dime out of me.
yeah. I mean, the only thing
This
the only
isn't
thing that I would
working.
have to see is like if you got tier 2, if they're giving you PS4 games on day one. So like the
There's
games
no more
that
PS. There's no more
like if God of
PS4 games though.
well, I'm saying, well, they
Oh,
still dropping them
okay.
shits.
For
But
one
if you
more
get
year. For
God
one
of
more
War
year, right?
2022 or whatever,
For one more year, yeah,
and
maybe.
they're giving you just in a PS4 version, then I'm okay with that. Like I'll play the
Is God of
PS4
War the
version if it's
last
free.
one? Is God of War the last one? Because Horizon's PS5 only, right? I think they said Horizon was PS5 only. Is it?
Bro, I don't know, man. I think Horizon. I wouldn't be surprised if Horizon is on PS4 as
I
well.
wouldn't be surprised
I don't
either.
know if
But
they.
I'm
I
just
don't know if
wondering,
they
is it?
just doing it straight PS5. But I mean, it could be. They should. That anything coming out next year should be PS5 only. They shouldn't be
Yeah.
making shit else for the PS4. It should be like, hey, we'll see you on the other side. You know what I mean? That's if they want to sell these consoles, that's what they need to do, dude. Because they keep catering to the old gen, and it's like it's cool for them, but yeah,
No, it's
you
coming to
gotta give it the
PS4
time.
too. Supposedly
Yeah,
it's going to be coming to PS4 at some point. So
right.
yeah, if they do that, then yeah, maybe one more year. But I just don't know, like, because this says it's just adding a large selection of PS4 games. I don't think that.
Yeah,
I don't think
right.
that's including anything you get on PS5. So I think this is junk. But I do think that they're at least acknowledging that it matters,
Right.
and I hope that they eventually step foot into the ring legitimately and
Like
make the
all in.
switch. Yeah, all
Yeah.
in, because I think that they're falling behind, and it's like I was saying, and I think Arachnid was like, agreeing to a degree. They're missing the boat right now. Like Sony's just missing the boat right now, I think.
Yeah, and
And the
you're getting
boat,
to that point. You're getting to that point where it's like there's still gonna be people, like my boy Brahms that just doesn't, he has an I think he has. No, he doesn't have an Xbox, but he plays, some of the Xbox games on like the PC or whatever. But if there was something he wanted to get, he would just, buy the game. He wouldn't get the subscription. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, he might play as much as like Anthony G does, where he might get like 3-4 games in a year. So it's like, I'm gonna just buy those 3 or 4 games instead of like, I think if you add it up, like a whole year is like $150 or something like that,
For Game Pass.
for Game Pass. Yeah. And, it's like you might not even use it all that time. So maybe 2-3 games, you know what I mean? Catching some on sale, like, this Black Friday, if you was able to snag Guardians of the Galaxy for 25 or something like that, you know what I mean? You make it out like a bandit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just think, I think there's a lot of gamers who are like that. He just play a few games a year.
Yeah.
But I think like if you can satisfy your gaming needs, like I was talking earlier, for $10 a month, I think like that's just so sick. And I just wish Sony would like jump into that game, because I think there'd be tens and tens of millions of people who would buy that service. And I think they're missing out on that. I think they're really missing out on that, man.
nah. So he just got done with Assassin's Creed. I think my boy finally advanced to Miles Morales with his own lame ass. You gotta finish that shit, bro. Like, there's so many other games out there. Deathloop, play Deathloop, man. But anyways, let's go ahead and hit up the last topic. I'm hella fancy, bro.
Fancy, man.
I love you,